you don't like catch it, but like it's such a bop, that opening music, and I'm like behind here, behind the scenes, just doing one of these. Usually, also desperately hoping that Facebook picks up the stream in time because it takes Facebook about 20 seconds to pick up the stream so I can tell it to go live. So I'm always like, oh my God, is it going to work? So, welcome to the October 3rd Lunch with Mal. This is the second of the fall Lunch with Mal's. So we're like totally we're 100% in Q3 now. We're doing it. Um, it's interesting. It has two posts of me being live in the group. That's odd. I'm like trying to find the post to like put my comment on, and it's like, here's two of them. Pick one. All right. At everyone. Let's go and throw my everyone comment in, which I was ready for. I actually had it like all typed out. I just had to copy and paste it, and now we're making magic happen. So, hi everyone, and hey to everyone who's watching the replay, as I know you people do, which is wild and pretty cool. Like I look at the post reach on Lunch with Mal, and it's in the hundreds of people now that are watching Lunch with Mal live and on all the different platforms and places where they can see it, which is super cool. It gives me some warm fuzzies that I don't mind having it all. But yeah, if you're here and you're watching, like sound off. I'd love to know who's here and where you're from. And also, every Lunch with Mal is sort of like an opportunity. It's always like an AMA. So if you have any questions, anything that you're dealing with as an author, anything you're struggling with, feel free to throw it out there. I might not be able to answer everything in the context of this kind of call. This isn't a call. Kind of this format, but yeah. Sorry, just was quickly messaging someone. But yeah, it's great. It's good for anything. Sorry, I got like multiple messages, and I'm just like, oh, I was on such a good roll with my intro. Jill asked me to put a link in the description, and I totally forgot. Which I'm going to put in now. Hey, Deborah. She's like, hey, don't forget to put this link in your description. I'm like, I got you. I'll do that. Totally didn't do that. And I was feeling so good because I had everything all typed out in advance and everything. But anyway, we're good. We're rolling. And there's like already like 7 or 8, 9 people watching. So hi, everyone. So yeah, I was thinking about the topic to talk about today. And usually in the last like 30 minutes before the call starts, or the podcast starts, I'm going to call it a podcast. Do I do that? And you might be like, Gmail, you're just like so off the cuff. Like, why aren't you more prepared? And part of it's because I talk with so many authors every week about so many different things that I'm kind of like, what should I focus on? What should I cover? This week, we started our membership. So in like the last 10 to 15 days, I've probably met through like my regular one-on-one calls and our membership calls with like 40 or 50 authors, like talking to them about like their particular issues, what they're working at right now, what their goals are, and then what else the things are that are blocking them either from their goals or from getting writing done, or like just other kinds of mental blocks and creative blocks. So it's generally like hard to pick. Some of the highlights right now are translations are going nuts for a lot of people. The thing that's making that a lot easier right now is a software called Scribe Shadow. I'm sure there's others out there too. In fact, I know there's others. I've talked about them, but the one that people are using a lot and having really good luck with is called Scribe Shadow, and you can use that straight up or in conjunction with a proofreader and pretty quickly get translated copies of your books out all over the place. And sometimes, Deb, I'm amazed that I keep everybody straight too. And good morning, Jeremy. And so, yeah, there are authors I'm working with, who are going for the easy one, Germany. People seem to go for Germany quite a bit when it comes to doing translations. Hey, Penumbra on YouTube, how you doing? There's a lot of that, but also there's a lot of France, Spain, and Italy going on too. And what I mean by obviously, especially as far as Spanish is concerned, people speak Spanish outside of Spain, but most people are like just starting with a Spanish translation and then marketing the book in Spanish. And one of the places that's doing really well for a lot of people is France. And I've been talking with a couple of people who live there, and sort of the consensus is that most of the work that's created in France, most of the writers are all writing literary fiction. There's not a lot of genre fiction being produced in French. And so they're super hungry for genre fiction. So it seems to be doing very well based on that. In fact, a lot of people are actually having better luck in France than in Germany, which, is a little bit surprising because Germany has a significantly larger population. Um, but I think maybe part of the reason is, and I don't have any stats on this. This is sort of just my gut feeling. I feel like more Germans know English than French people do. Um, so I think that might be a part of it, but it's pretty interesting. Yeah, that's awesome, Deb, that you're doing that in all those countries. Most of the folks I work with are pretty fresh on Italy and Spain. But I'm actually really excited about having books in Spanish for some of these authors. Some of them I'm running ads for because we're going to be testing out running ads in Mexico and ads in the United States specifically to Spanish-speaking people and see how those do. So there's a lot of really cool opportunity around that. And it's awesome that you're having success with that too, Deb. I've been finding as well that ad costs are quite a bit cheaper in those countries, especially right now, because we're going to be in the season of rising ad costs between here and Christmas. And then, of course, lumped in the middle of that, we've got a presidential election. So normally ad costs kind of climb up to, what am I thinking? So I got another message and I was eagerly awaiting it. I found a computer component inside of a computer on Facebook Marketplace that is worth significantly more than they're asking for the entire computer. So I'm I'm eager to get it. Distracted by the messages from the seller. I'm going to focus though. I'm going to minimize that so I don't see it anymore and get back on track. But yeah, it's like $100 computer, and the graphics card that's inside of it is worth like $350 to $400. So I'm just like, and it's not like it's like a new one that someone just doesn't know what they have. It's like old and collectible. It's kind of what it is. So it's worth a lot because of that. Anyway, so yeah, so we're looking. Normally we have this climb to Thanksgiving, a bit of a dip after American Thanksgiving. And I said it because other countries have Thanksgiving too at different times of year. But yeah, there's a bit of a dip after American Thanksgiving, and then we've got that climb to Christmas. And then January 1st, ad costs plummet. It's like a switch gets flipped, and the price of ads just drop tremendously. So that'll happen. But normally there's 4 weeks between American Thanksgiving and Christmas, and this year we've kind of only got 3 weeks because, well, I guess it is still 4 weeks. So I guess maybe normally it's 5 weeks. I'm trying to math this up really quickly here. No, it is. It is really just 3 solid weeks before Christmas week, because Christmas is on a Wednesday, and American Thanksgiving is on Thursday, the 28th. So Cyber Monday is December 2nd. So you've really only got 3 full weeks before you're on Christmas week. Normally we get 5, or normally we get 4 weeks. So I'm not entirely sure. Like normally ad prices come up over American Thanksgiving, and then they have a bit of time to dip down before rise back toward Christmas again. I'm wondering how much of that we're going to get this year. And then on top of that, we've got the election wrapping up 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, and that's going to have a climb to for ad spend. So I'm a little bit worried that we're going to be a little bit overinflated on the cost of ads. And I'm not talking like crazy money. I'm talking like you might see yourself go from 15 cents a click to 20 cents a click, which doesn't seem like that much, but that's 25% off your profitability if that were to happen across all of your ads that you're running. So that's actually a pretty big chunk. If you're running an ROI on your ads where you're sitting somewhere in like the 50% ROI range, now you're down to 25% ROI, and a lot of your ads might be like riding the line for profitability. So it's going to mean for a bit more careful watching of your ads. And if you already have kind of expensive ads, you might need to either think, do I decrease spend? Do I pause? Do I try to just do video only ads? Because video ads are generally cheaper, even though they convert a bit less. It might be time for some experimenting on that front. But that's where the translations come in, right? Like it all dovetails, all comes together. not everybody in the world's having an election this November 5th. The UK just had their election. So they're kind of like riding free and clear, and they don't have an analog to American Thanksgiving. So if you have some ads that you've been thinking about running in the UK, or you have run ads in the UK in the past, this may very well be the time that you want to give ads in the UK a really solid shot. Canadian Thanksgiving happens at the end of October. So if you want to give a low spend ad a shot in Canada, firing that up at the beginning of November might be a cool option, give you a little bit of extra exposure and revenue while all American shenanigans are going on during November. And you would take your best performing US ad, whatever copy and images are working well there, and then try that in Canada. Lower spend though, because do remember, Canada has the same population. Actually, Canada's a smaller population than California or Florida, or New York, I think, as well now. So, or Texas. So keep that in mind, that it's not like a massive place, but it's something that maybe you could like add into your mix for a little bit more stability and consistency during that time. But if you've got translations, or you've been on the fence about using something like Scribe Shadow to do AI translation and get your books in other countries, this is really the time of year to be thinking about it, to capitalize on the Christmas sales. I've got folks right now who are running ads in France and Spain and Italy for as low as like 2 cents a click, and they're getting good conversions on those ads. So that's really interesting. One of the things I've really been finding as I've been branching out and advertising in more and more countries is that Americans click on ads like crazy and then don't buy. Whereas in other countries, they seem to do that a little bit less. They seem to be like less of like a click on everything and see kind of mentality, and more of a think about it before I click mentality. And really, they make the decision at a different point in the funnel is all that really happens. And so a lot of times you can get cheaper ad costs and higher conversions because Facebook is just looking to make some scratch over there. So that's something to think about. Let's see. Just let me get back on topic. All right. Amy says, Deborah says, I'm with a publisher who translates the book, so it's a steep cost that will need to be paid back before I see royalties. Okay. Do you have series, Deb, that you haven't given over to the publisher? Because that might be something to play with. Leverage the fact that they're building an audience for you in these other countries, and then use something like Scribe Shadow to do some of your own translations. Penumbria in YouTube says, last October I ran a sales in Canada, had a decent return. So yeah, totally something to consider. Amy says, if you could only run one type of ad right now, would you run Reels or still image ads? So that would depend on what I'm writing and what my age group is. So the rule of thumb, and this is a rule of thumb, not an absolute rule, is that Reels appeal to younger people and still images appeal to older people a little bit more. And it's also partially skewed by the platform. Facebook will show still image ads quite a bit, whereas Instagram will really heavily prefer video ads and will almost never show still image ads. So if you're, and then on top of that, older audiences are on Facebook and younger audiences are on Instagram. So whether or not video actually does work better for younger people is a little bit hard to say because the platforms are kind of divided by age a bit. So if I have books though, like I'm writing like, midlife magical mysteries of some sort, then I'm probably going to be running still images because I'm going to be appealing to an older audience. But if I'm writing new adult college bully romance, then I would really strongly consider Reels and running those to a younger audience because and then hitting that audience on Facebook purely because of what I'm writing and who it's for. So that's something to think about in that realm, that your audience has a lot to do with that. For me personally, with my audience, I'm going to do still images for them old farts. It's totally what I would do because that's my audience. It's mostly older readers, and especially at Christmas time, I can hit on nostalgia a lot and be like, do you miss like old style sci-fi like authors XYZ wrote during the golden age? Check out MD Cooper's expansive Aeon Forte universe or something like that. Like I would actually do a straight up appeal to nostalgia for them at this time of year. Pippa says, hey Mel, I've been out on a walk on the beach and I'm late. It's okay, I forgive you. The UK ads are fab right now, but I think I'll leave the USA one running. I have a Christmas book coming out in a week or so, so I'll leave things running. Yeah, I mean, if your US ads are doing right, do run them. In fact, I would never advocate turning off ads out of fear of what might happen. You know, be like, oh, I've heard that costs might be going up. I'm going to turn off my ads in anticipation of that. The only thing you're doing is a favor for everybody else who's still running ads when you do that. You're going to take the hit so that their ads perform a little bit better. So do kind of keep that in mind, that you're not helping yourself that much. But if your ads aren't profitable, if you're like on the fence, or you're like, I'm like riding like a 15% ROI line, and even a small increase in cost will put me in the negative, then yes, maybe you should turn your ads off, or take a really hard look at which ones are working and which ones aren't. Because almost every time I work with an author who's running a lot of ads, chances are there are some bad ones eating the profits from the good ones. So sometimes you just gotta you gotta get brutal. You gotta take that scalpel and excise the bad ads. Deborah says, I have other series I could try. That sounds like a good idea. I'm glad. Yeah. I mean, check it out. Make sure it works for you. But everybody I've talked to that's been using Scribe Shadow along with a proofer has said that they've had like no complaints about the translation. And even some people who use Scribe Shadow and no proofer have said they've had zero complaints. And they said they've got some pretty picky readers. So, you know, it seems to be working pretty well. Penumbria on YouTube says, I run my Aussie sales in April or May because they're going into winter. Hashtag winter reads. Do your books appeal more to people in the winter? I'm not sure if your books have a winter angle to them or not. I can't recall. I'm just kind of curious why that's the angle you take. So so yeah, and I think on top of all of that, I also think that people, you know, like I alluded to, that you shouldn't make decisions based on fear of what will happen. You actually want to, of course, look at your actual numbers, and get a feel for what's really going on. A lot of people will say, to turn off ads on the holidays, and like I said, I sort of view that as opportunity. I'm like, oh, nice. That means that not as many people are running ads. That means this is a great time for me to run ads. But a lot of it is like don't operate with a fear mindset. Operate with like an opportunity and abundance mindset, where you're like, hey, you know, there's always a chance to make lemonade out of lemons. You know, how can I do that here? And that doesn't mean that you can come up with something in every scenario, but you should at least be taking a look at it and thinking of how you can come up with an angle there. Do you have a URL for that program? I think it's just scribeshadow.com. Let me check. Looks like it's app.scribeshadow.com is where I go when I search for it. Let me put it into chat. Put it here too. Someone correct me if this is wrong. So just like that, app.scribeshadow.com. Or is it .ai? Is there more than one? It's kind of tricky because there are a lot of things called Scribe these days. Nope, I think it's the right one. Scribeshadow.ai doesn't bring up anything. So, ta-da. But yeah, their pricing isn't terrible, right? Like $25 a month for it looks like that's probably for it says Storyteller is $25 a month, and that's ample credits to bring your novellas to life in different languages. And then Wordsmith for $50 a month is suited for authors translating full-length novels. So you can kind of dig into like what that would actually get you. And their highest plan is $3.99 per month with no yearly billing available. And you know, depending on how quickly you could do it, that might be enough to actually publish someone's entire library one time, or translate one entire library one time. So I'm going to be looking more into like what the like it says how many translation credits you get, but it's like, what does a translation credit turn into? Oh, never mind. It says each translated word costs approximately 1 credit. So for $50 a month, that gives you about 120,000 words. So there you go. That would work. And publisher gives you 1.3 million words. So if you wanted to throw all your books at it, you know, say you've got 10 books at 100,000 words a pop, that $400 cost would be all it would take to translate 10 books, or actually in this case, if they're all 100,000 words, 13 books. So that's actually a pretty good deal. Is there a way to get, so Amy says, is there a way to get Reels ads to show more on Instagram than on Facebook, or is it just a matter of turning off Facebook placements? So that is something that can happen sometimes. Like even when you do Reels, they're still going to probably show on Facebook more, but they should be showing in the Reels feeds, not on the profile feeds on Facebook. One of the options is you can turn off the Facebook profile feed, and then you're going to get Reels feeds on Facebook and Reels feeds on Instagram that will drive up your CPC a bit. But oftentimes, Reels that people are responding to readily are going to have CPCs down around like 7 or 8 cents a click anyway. So if it drives them up to like 10 cents per click, that's okay. I do have a couple of authors who just recently, we went and flipped their Reels to only show on Instagram, which I haven't done that for a while. Probably been over a year since I've tried that in the past. In the past, it always jacked the price up too much. So it's a sort of another experiment to see if that still happens or not. One thing I have found with Instagram is that Instagram is a lot more expensive to advertise on during the week than on the weekends. It's sort of just been a weird thing about Instagram all the time. And it seems like there's just not as many people on Instagram either. So like it's a lot of advertisers don't seem to run their ads on the weekends. So I've actually been thinking about experimenting with using the budget scheduling feature on Facebook, on Facebook ads, and like running my ads a little bit more on the weekend and seeing if I can like kind of capitalize on that weekend stretch where ads are cheaper. But there's no tried and true way yet, though. Although one of the options also can be if you only run your ad up to age 55. So if you run like 20 to 55, you'll also naturally get a lot more Instagram because about half of the readers on Facebook are over 55 years old, whereas the bulk of the readers on Instagram are between 20 and about 45 to 50. So you can kind of manipulate the age range to get that too. Danica confirmed subscribe channel, by the way. Woohoo, thank you. I missed it, but you had at the same time. So are you having that kind of problem, Amy? Are your Reels mostly still showing on Facebook? And are they showing in the profile feed or in the Reels feeds or the video feeds? I prefer the Reel feeds the most myself. I'm trying to turn off my air conditioner. There we go. It was just getting kind of loud and kind of annoying me. I don't think you guys could hear the air conditioner, but I could, and it was getting inside my head. So yeah, so those are sort of like some high-level thoughts for what you can do during the fall. I often give this advice. You guys might be tired of hearing it, but I'm a really strong believer in releasing something around Christmas, like 24th, 25th, or 26th of December, kind of around Christmas, because that week after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, is a huge time for reading. Most people see a lot of KU reads come in there, and if you can like have a release in that period, you can capitalize on that heavy readership period and grab a lot of readers. And even if you don't have a new release that you could do, perhaps you could make a box set and roll that out in that time frame, or even like the week leading up to Christmas can really work as well. Totally an option. Emma Loomis says Facebook was determined not to show my reel on Instagram, so we turned off Facebook. Yeah, you're one of the people that we did that with. It was you. I've actually done it with you and 2 other people in the last couple of weeks now. Well, no, one other person. The other person was something slightly different. So yeah, I'm quite interested to see how that works and see if our costs go up or not. Like the last times I tried it, there weren't nearly as many readers on Instagram. I am also still like eagerly awaiting ads on Threads. I really look forward to Facebook opening up Threads for ads, because Threads, like, I don't know, actually, who's using Threads right now? Just kind of curious how many there are. Curious what the user count on Threads is at this point. Yeah, so right now there are 200 million users on Threads. Just curious what the top social media platforms are right now. Kind of curious how Threads is fitting into this at this point. So it's not huge. It's probably placed around like 25, number 25 in the world for social media platforms. But you also have to keep in mind that of those 25 social media platforms in the world right now, like half of them are things like WhatsApp and Telegram and stuff like that. If we look at like actual social media platforms, actually, let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Share screen. So this was just one that I randomly found. Their number for Threads is off a little bit too because they say Threads only has 175, but it's up at 200 million. So we've really got Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest, Reddit. So that's at 7. And then Threads would be like 8, between 8 and 10, depending on like what languages you might work in or where you might think you could advertise. Because I'm counting, I'm looking at Twitter and Pinterest as being places you could advertise as well. So it's like, I would argue that of like pure social media platforms where you could run ads to a global audience, Threads is one of the top 10 platforms already, which is pretty wild. And it's actually pretty interesting too, like Threads' growth rate. Where was it here now? I searched for that first. Like it's actually the fastest growing social media app of all time. Because it hit 1 million users within an hour and then jumped up to 100 million users within just 4 days. It's grown a little bit more slowly, but it's been picking up a lot again lately. So I'm quite excited for Facebook opening up advertising on Threads, and they said they're doing it this fall. So I mean, come on, Facebook, chop chop, it's time. The other interesting thing with Threads too is like image posts on Threads get no engagement. Like no one really pays any attention to posts with images on them. It's pure text stuff that does well on Threads. And I'm like, excellent, we're writers, that's our jam. So I'm very eager. I actually think that if you have an Instagram following of any sort, you should actually be also posting on Threads and possibly doing like story content on Threads where you thread it out over multiple posts. I think that could actually work pretty well. People might be like all about story time. All right. Jeremy says, I've been noticing people clicking my ads, interacting with them, and following my author page, but in the end, not converting to sales. I mean, that's always happening to some extent. You're going to get a lot more people clicking and interacting, commenting than converting to sales. It could be that you're hitting a lot of people who are already your readers, who've engaged with your ads in the past. And you might need to make a custom audience of everybody who's engaged with your ads, and then exclude them from the ad to try and get past that. There's so much drama on Threads. I don't find there to be drama on Threads. I think if you go into author sphere anywhere, you're going to find drama, but the reader sphere on Threads is pretty drama free. And I don't really operate in social media personally. I don't tend to operate like in author spaces. I just have like my own personal social spaces I operate in. They're generally pretty drama free. Although my author world on Facebook is actually pretty drama free too. I think just my mere existence is it functions as a filter to filter in and out a lot of things like that. So Rebecca, what are you doing on Threads? I'm interested in what's working for you over there. Yes, you cannot use Threads on your PC. You have to use it on your phone. So there is that. I don't even know if they have a website for it. I've never even checked, but I know that you can't, unless they changed something very recently, you can't use it on your PC. But yeah, come on, Facebook, give me Threads ads. Chop, chop, let's roll. I didn't do exclusions because the whole seeing it 10 times before acting, it's more like 5 to 7 times before interacting, but it only excludes people who've actually interacted. So it doesn't stop you from seeing it multiple times. It just stops people who've clicked from seeing it. And so what you actually do is you make 2 audiences. Actually, I'm trying to think of the right way to do that. There's a way that basically you can build an audience of people who exclude people who've seen your ad, but not within the last 365 days, but rather within like 365 minus 30. So you still can, so some people within 30 days can still click multiple times. Or you can also just like turn that exclusion on and off periodically. way of doing it. Rebecca says regarding threads, posting links when folks say they're looking for books. Some of them are just engagement bait, but I've had quite a few sales come from it too. Note, quite a few sales from me is like 2 a day. Hey, I mean, like if you're getting a bump from doing that, I think that's fabulous. Something that you might want to try, Rebecca, though, is like I said, like, on threads, like people will actually do the multi-post thing, which you can also do on Twitter too. And then of course use a little thread icon or something like that. Or you'll say like 1 of 8, 2 of 8, 3 of 8. And like actually try like an excerpt of the story. Like if you're doing romance, like try the meet cute or something like that. I think that could work pretty well, actually. I really feel like a lot of times like authors on these social media platforms, sometimes they engage with like they do outrage engagement. And what I mean by that is engagement where you're trying to get the reader outraged on your behalf in some fashion. And you can do that, via attacking other authors, which is bad. You should never do that. You can do that sort of by doing a me against the man sort of thing, and that can actually be okay. Like Amazon's awful, buy books directly from me, kind of thing. You can do that kind of outrage, or you can make them outrage on behalf of your character, and I think that's the best way to do it, because then you're selling the story rather than just like your own engagement, your own personal experiences, and you're better off selling the story. So I think that'd be really fun. Oh, Metricool can post to threads. Well, that's awesome then, because that would save people from having to do all of that on their phone. So Jill put this link in Facebook chat, and I'll just bring it up on screen as well. I'm curious how much it costs. It's always the question, right? Share screen window. Oops, that's the wrong thing. So it's funny. Our daughter Eva, she's always like, she like views it as like a game. When she sees stuff like that, she's like, reject all. She's like, haha, I won the internet. I actually kind of think I might have misclicked. But anyway, it looks pretty normal. The usual arrangement of things. What's their pricing look like? Start free. I like free. Up to 50 pieces of content a month is free. That's actually pretty impressive. And then if you want to pay 18 bucks a month, you get unlimited content per month. That's, folks, unless there's some other restrictions in here that they're not talking about, 50 pieces of content a month is plenty for most authors. That's actually pretty awesome. I'm a fan of that. So the site was metricool.com. I'll just put it up on screen for everybody in watching all the different platforms to see. So there you can see there, Metricool. I didn't know we used Metricool, honey. That's pretty awesome. You should upload something to our school about how to use that. Oh, that sounds really fun, Judy. Judy says that sounds like a great idea. Maybe I should set up clues on threads that my character is following for her spy novel. I love that. And then you could direct your readers over to threads to follow. You'd be like, hey, curious what's going on? Character XYZ has been dropping some clues on threads. I think that'd be really fun. Well, Jeremy, you can buy ebooks from Amazon on your phone, just not if you have the Amazon app installed. So if you just don't install, if people don't have the app installed, it's not a problem. If people do have the app installed, just sort of have learned that you have to go open up the Amazon on Amazon.com. So I don't think it's, and anything that applies something like threads also applies to ads, because the vast majority of ads are viewed on phones. And Danica also says they use Metricool at Publish Drive. So there it is. 2 really strong endorsements. I have to admit, I'm bad. I'm one of those people who doesn't use a lot of those management programs. I really should. I do everything by hand. And that's something I need to work on, because so often we get stuck in like, I've been doing it like this forever and it works, and I just don't feel like changing the way I do it because I don't want to learn a new thing. And sometimes we just got to do that, right? Be like, you know what? there are efficiencies to be had, and I need to learn a new thing. Part of the issue for me too is that when it comes to like planning out content, I'm really bad at sort of like I need to have an emotion about a thing to make me want to write about it. So I can't write engagement content unless I'm feeling a particular emotion. And so if when I feel it, I go and do it. Like I strike while the iron's hot. Um, but when it comes to like pulling out stuff from my book and turning that into content, well, I don't have to feel a particular emotion to do that. I can just do it. So I'm actually pretty excited about that that possibility there. So yeah, good. It's a good chat, everyone. So we've got Metricool and Scribe Shadow to be checking out ways that we can like expand our reach, both in the from a marketing standpoint and from a languages standpoint. I have 3 books that are currently being published through another publisher, and the readers hate the translation. So I'm going to pull those back pretty soon and do my own translation with Scribe Shadow as well. So and see if I can get some more German sales, and then also hit some stuff in the French store. And one of the things I've heard from some people even say is that they're not even translating, they're not like redoing the cover entirely. They're leaving the English cover, and then it just has like a localized subtitle underneath it. And especially for Germany, that seems to work better. I don't have enough data yet to know if that works better in all the other countries, but that is something that's definitely been happening where you don't need to have a whole different cover made. You can have a subtitle added to the cover, and it works like a charm. Jill's all about the AI. Jill says, I use AI to create lists of content she can expand on and customize, and also pull content directly from her book, which is super cool. It's like Jill has like a whole personal assistant. Actually, she has an army of personal assistants that are all made up by her AIs, which I absolutely love. Eventually, they're going to develop personalities and take over the household. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Hey, Sothros on YouTube, how you doing? But yeah, I feel like I've kind of run through my spiel today. But I do want to remind everybody, like I said, don't go into the election season and the Christmas season / Thanksgiving season with fear. Go into it looking for opportunities, looking for where you can leverage the buying mood that people get into when they're shopping. A lot of times you want to buy something for yourself too while you're shopping. You kind of get that vibe. And then also like if advertising gets expensive in the US, where else can you go? UK, Canada, Australia are all options that you can hit up. And granted, you might need to like run lower spends or something like that, but a lot of times you can run ads for a lot less money in those countries too. So definitely something to keep in mind. Need an assistant to assist my AI. Oh, I love it. That's awesome, honey. But yeah, so I'm going to jet. And also, if you didn't see in the post on our group, or you might not have seen because I didn't post it on YouTube and whatnot, we have a site. We're using a site called School now, which is where we're putting up all of our content. Everything that we're currently working on all lives on School, and all of the videos we're doing are all there. And if you want to like have access to basically all of the training that we've ever done on anything, it's either up there or coming up there soon. I'm re-recording a bunch of it to make it all current, but you can get access to like our genre and trope class email list stuff with templates that Jill's putting together, and like flows, like onboarding flows. So basic stuff on self-publishing. The blurb class just went up there. AI for marketing right now is mostly focused around image marketing, but Jill's adding in. Actually, wait, no. The master classes for success is the one that has the AI image stuff in it, and Jill's doing non-image ones otherwise. And then there's launches. There's our advanced workshop, super fans, all sorts of things like that are up here in School. And this is only $37 a month to get access to all this content. There's a whole community with all sorts of different groups in here that you can join in on and talk with people. We are getting tons of engagement in here. There's threads that have like 60 plus. Their posts have 60 plus comments on them and whatnot. So a lot of really awesome stuff happening in here. Like I said, it's only $37 a month to get in on that and have everything we've ever taught like at your fingertips. And as we teach new things, to have those at your fingertips too. So thank you. Deborah and Rebecca. I'm super excited about it. It's something that Jill and I have wanted to do for a while. A way to like bring it everything we've ever done to everybody at a much lower price, because it doesn't have to be all one-on-one bespoke communication stuff. And it's going great. We're getting such a good community. And for those of you who are here, this is like your chance to be in the know. If you engage a lot in school, you actually level up, and there's some cool stuff that you'll actually get access to in addition if you engage and participate and communicate with other authors and join in the forums and whatnot. You'll level up and get access to co-working time and some other things like that. So we're kind of gamifying it a bit too to help build the whole community out. But with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Hope you have a fabulous morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are, and a great weekend. And I will see all of you next week. Ciao.